Stocks see some follow-through buying from Thursday with a healthy advance client ratio after India's PM Modi calls Donald Trump and metals and industrials are the big gainers, while FMCG and IT drag.
India's second largest asset management company and the most profitable at an operating level floats its 10,600 crore rupee IPO that will see co-promoter Prudential pair part of its stake after 20 years. The fund house's CEO tells CNBC-TV18 he sees a big opportunity in mobilizing bank savings and expects alternate investment funds to yield higher profits.
Silver hits a record high and gold climbs as the US Treasury yield and dollar softens. Copper too scales to a record high as several mines battle issues crimping supply.
Rupee hits a fresh low of 90.56 to the dollar and then recovers all the losses. Dealers say oil companies bought dollars, but rupee recovery was due to exporters selling, not RBI support. Phone call between PM Modi and President Trump also not seen helping rupee since it didn't mention about the trade deal.
Prime Minister Modi called up US President Donald Trump on Thursday to review the strategic partnership between the nations. The two leaders agreed to work closely to address shared challenges and common interests. The call lifts hopes on the tariff front.
Hello and welcome to Halftime Report live from the CNBC-TV18 Motilal Oswal studio. I'm Sonal Bhutra. With me as always, Ekta Batra and Vinny Motiwala. Hey girls, good afternoon. Happy Friday to both of you. Markets also are in the Friday mode today after some selling pressure and some volatility that we saw through the week, right? Today, the markets at the day's high. We are above the 26,000 mark as we speak. The mid-caps too are contributing a fair bit. 1.7% higher on the mid-caps. That index is up 1,000 points right now. Metal index, it has seen a stellar rally. That continues to be the case, up 2%. Tata Steel is one of the top gainers on the Nifty as well. We do have some contribution coming in from oil and gas and the energy space as well. So watch out for some moves on that one. But other than that, if we look at the losers, far and few, we have the FMCG index, which is down 0.4%. PSU banking index absolutely flat with some negative bias. A lot of movers in the broader markets. Even the small cap index is doing really well today.
Absolutely, that broader end of the market doing well is supporting the overall advance decline ratio clearly. But apart from that, some of these capital good names today are doing well. Whether you look at a Thermax, L&T, obviously had brokerage reports there. But transformers and rectifiers, that's another one that's buzzing away in trade. And obviously the stock has seen a very significant and sharp decline in the last 6 months. But now some recovery at least seems like is coming back. And if those issues on the governance side start easing off, maybe that is something that we'll watch out for. But a lot of individual movers in today's trade as well.
Hi, girls. Yes, absolutely. The markets are gaining on that trade talk optimism at this point in time. So the Nifty is just about trading at around 26,000. But remember that the rupee continues to weaken. So it has hit a fresh record low on an intraday basis in today's trading session, but has recovered from those levels as well. So just watch out for the rupee in context of the gains that we're seeing in the equity market. So let's see which one manages to dominate in terms of sentiment. But nonetheless, let's talk about one important topic, which is basically the weight loss drug market in India. Novo Nordisk is set to launch Ozempic, which is basically the weight loss and diabetes drug in India today. This is after launching Wegovy, which is specifically for weight loss earlier this year. The company, in fact, is looking to launch this semaglutide molecule for diabetes in 3 strengths and at similar price points to Wegovy. In fact, I did catch up with the managing director of Novo Nordisk, Vikrant Shrotriya, to discuss the company's India opportunity. We also quizzed him on the legal issues with Dr. Reddy's and Son Pharma right now. So listen in to that conversation.
The higher strength of semaglutide, which actually we have launched till 2.4 milligram, is for obesity. And we are launching this brand for the benefit of type 2 diabetes. And that itself is a big and a huge burden in India, given that we have got more than 100 million population which is getting affected by diabetes, and almost 77 out of 100, they do not have a control. So we are launching this semaglutide in 3 strength, 0.25, 0.5 and 1 milligram for the benefit of type 2 diabetes patient. So it is very clear that The 3 strength which we are launching is for diabetes, and till 2.4 milligram which we have launched is for obesity.
Okay. All right. I wanted to understand that you already have Rybelsus in the market, but the latest data showed that maybe there is a little bit of slowing of sales of Rybelsus. Is that one of the reasons why you're also launching Ozempic, that maybe the oral weight loss drug or oral diabetes drug, semaglutide, is not showing as much traction as anticipated?
I would say that's not exactly the reason. It's a flexible portfolio approach. You know, some of the people would like to write with a ball pen, and still people would like to use the ink pen, and somebody would like to write with a pencil. So semaglutide, which is available now in oral formulation, we have seen the increased appetite of people to accept injectable, which we never saw earlier with insulin. So that is the reason we are actually launching this injectable semaglutide. But on the other side, the oral semaglutide is still on the growth trajectory. But we have to remember that it is now 4th year of the launch, and in the 4th year of the launch, the distribution channel, the pickup of the brand, it changes over a period of time. But we are still very bullish on the oral formulation, because normally if you see diabetes patient in India, 75% of them still prefer oral treatment over injectable. So I think so there is a play both for oral semaglutide and also for injectable semaglutide.
Okay. All right. Well, Vikrant, you know, Wegovy, you launched it a couple of months ago in the month of June. It's taken a significant price cut recently by around 30 to 35% to drive up demand. Are you looking to do the same for Ozempic, come in at possibly lower price points, or maybe look at lower price points in the future? What exactly is the pricing for Ozempic in the market currently?
See, the first thing I and my team we look forward to is to get the innovation in India. And then after the innovation, we look for the accessibility of the molecule in India. Now, we got the response, we got the feedback that the right price should be what we have taken actually now for the injectable semaglutide for obesity. This was a bold step in terms of 37% price reduction. Was a huge step. But we have seen the kind of acceptability of the molecule which is actually there. Now for Ozempic, we would like to be in the same range bound, because we know that more and more patients can actually now afford this kind of a price point when it comes to injectable semaglutide. So we will be range bound with this price point.
All right, Vikrant, you know, I just wanted to touch upon Novo Nordisk having moved the Delhi High Court in order to restrain Sun Pharma from launching the generic form of semaglutide. What is the crux of the legal matter, and where do things stand?
I mean, I would say the legal course of action is under the, you can say, review, and our lawyers are actually fighting, reviewing, and seeing that we deserve the patent right till the time it has to be there in the country. So I think so it is under sub-justice, and I think so let it be there. I'm actually not, I'm not able to comment on that.
Okay, all right. But for Dr. Reddy's, you all have been allowed, or they have been allowed to export semaglutide to non-patent countries. What is the key contention point that Novo Nordisk has in that case? And is Novo Nordisk going to appeal?
Our lawyers are reviewing it, and we are waiting for their, you can say, what they would like to take an action, and I think so we wait for that.
Okay, fair enough. Vikrant, you know, you all have also partnered with Emcure for a second brand name of Wegovy, which is Poviztra. And when exactly is that launching in the Indian market? Is that something that you all are looking to probably do with Ozempic as well?
I would say that for any of the medication, any of the molecules, our try is as fast as possible, because the earlier the launch is, the better the access would be. And it is our try that we launch along with Emcure much more faster. And of course, the goods have to come, the production has to happen. So we have just signed the deal, but soon you will see that we will have the products in India.
All right. Just give us a sense, because Vikrant, you know, the big event which is going to take place is that semaglutide is going to go off patent in the month of March in India. When that happens, what is your sense in terms of
what the competition will be like, and it is expected to be a competitive market, and how exactly is Novo Nordisk then going to compete in that?
I would say that competition is one part of it, but we are driven by commitment, because when more number of players come, there is going to be a little more awareness about the medication, about the disease. And I think so that is a very good positive aspect. Similarly, in this market also, post the LOE period, when more number of players come, I think so we welcome them. But we would like to welcome them with a very long commitment, very long purpose.
26 years of CNBC-TV18.
Welcome back. You're still tuned into Halftime Report on CNBC TV18. Well, for the markets, it's holding up quite well. So let's talk about a couple of topics which have been making news since yesterday. The US House has passed the National Defense Authorization Act, which is basically moving the Biosecure Act, which somewhat restricts biotech contracts to countries like China from the US. And that is moved closer to becoming a law in the US. Now, these local contract drug makers see it as a positive step that can drive a shift to India, which would basically be a China plus one opportunity for a lot of these CDMO manufacturers such as Piramal Pharma. To discuss more on this, we in fact do have Nandini Piramal, who is the chairperson of Piramal Pharma, joining in. Nandini, hi, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for taking the time out. Well, first, just wanted to understand, what is the opportunity that you see if in case the US Biosecure Act does become law? What is the opportunity a company such as Piramal Pharma sees from that?
Hi, Ekta. It's a pleasure to be here. I do want to emphasize that this is only one step in a pretty long process of, the US Biosecure Act actually becoming law, because it has to be passed in the Senate. It has to be signed by the president. And, the Defense Department has to actually create a list of companies. And there's also a multi-year kind of grandfathering clause. So it's going to take some time, but I do think that there will be reshoring happening to the US. And I think that's one of the things that we are seeing, is that, along with the kind of pressure on pharmaceuticals overall to reshore, I think this will be another contributor to it. And that's why that's something that gives us opportunities, because we have 5 sites in North America, which are both API sites as well as formulation and injectable sites. And I think we have the capacity and the capabilities needed, if people do want to reshore.
Okay. I just had one follow-up. This grandfathering clause, Nandini, is for around 5 years. So that means that companies can continue working with the current contracts that they have, and then they can contemplate moving after 5 years. That's how we should read it.
I think at the end of 5 years, then they'll have to move. So people will have to make the steps to move before 5 years. Because
all right.
It does take time to move products and drug substance. So it will take time.
Okay.
You can't move pharmaceutical products in 1 day or 2 months. It takes a few years.
That's right. Even the conversion would take some time, right? For the Indian contract manufacturers to take these contracts on board and actually start execution. Nandini, you did indicate that you do have the capacity, you do have facilities in North America and other places. Have you already started seeing requests for proposals coming in from some of these US companies?
I will say that, there has been an uptick in RFPs. However, it's obviously too soon for decisions.
Okay, so too soon for decisions. There is an increase in terms of RFPs that you're seeing. From here on, if this act actually goes through, that approval comes in, then do we expect the conversion to be at a faster pace and acceleration in terms of growth there? Also, China plus one, right? The CDMO side, when you look at Chinese companies which have CDMO players, they have very large capacities. Will this help us in any way maybe to be competitive in terms of cost as well versus China?
I think overall, I'd say the China industry is very large. So even if some percentage moves to either the US or India, I think it will benefit us and will benefit the Indian CDMO industry because we are much, much smaller than all of the Chinese.
Exactly.
But as of right now, I will say that we're not as, the Chinese are cheaper.
Okay, so is it fair to assume that, Nandini, we'll probably see the opportunity probably come through in terms of the P&L of CDMO manufacturers in India maybe 3 to 5 years from now?
I think that's ideal. It'll take time. In the P&L, I imagine 3 to 5 years.
Okay. For you in particular, you've come out of a tough quarter. Your CDMO business has declined. You have indicated that the US biotech funding is seeing some amount of improvement, but there is possibly some way to go. What is the CDMO business looking like for the second half?
I think we've seen, again, some funding uptick over the last 3 months, probably since August, September, and October. And so right now, I would still say it's a muted optimism because 3 months does not a trend make. So I'd like to see where we are at the end of the year. So I think overall, I'd say yes, there has been an uptick. Yes, there are decisions being made, but I think it's too soon to commit to definitively.
Okay. Nandini, is there any clarity on whether US agencies will evaluate supply chain security? Is the industry prepared for that? Because there's been so much conversation around this act already. Is the industry making preparations already around some of these issues?
I'd say everyone, at least the Indian industry, is aware, but I don't think I have a position on how the US agencies will act.
Okay. Well, Nandini, just reverting back to, your performance, you did scale down your guidance last quarter. You've made it, a flat revenue growth as well as maybe margins to be in moderate to low teens for the year. Based on what you're seeing, are you able to stick to this guidance?
I think right now we can stick to the guidance. As I would say is, some of these decisions will take time to show up in the P&L. And I mean, as I said, frankly, it's too early for a decision, right? You'll have seen an uptick in RFPs, but, the RFPs do take time to decide.
Okay. All right, Nandini, we're going to leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and taking the time out and speaking with CNBC TV18. So yes, while the US Biosecure Act has seen some amount of progress, there are going to be steps for it to finally convert into law in the US. And the RFPs or requests for proposals for Indian CDMO companies is still going to take some time to convert finally into business. That's the word coming in from Piramal Pharma. We'll take a short break, but up next, we'll get talking on the technicals. Mehul Kothari of Anand Rathi will join us. Stay tuned.
"26 years of CNBC TV18.
Welcome back to Halftime Report on CNBC TV18. As of now, the Nifty is about the 26,000 mark, 26,022, holding on to gains of 124 points in the trading session, almost in the day's highest point. 0.5% uptick for the Nifty 50, even the Nifty Bank managing to hold on to gains of 0.3%. On that note, let's bring on board Mehul Kothari, Deputy Vice President, Technical Research, Anand Rathi Shares and Stockbrokers, to talk to us about the technicals on the market. Mehul, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining in. We are above the 26,000 mark as of now, but we do not sustain it always. So what are we keeping an eye out on in terms of levels now from here on for the Nifty as well as the Nifty Bank?
Good afternoon, guys. Thanks for having me on the show. After a sharp pullback of more than 300 points from the lows of 25,700, I feel Nifty is now struggling near the 26050 zone. We believe 26050 to 26,100 will be the real test for the bulls, and some consolidation cannot be ruled out at that level. However, as highlighted earlier, 15 days back, broader markets are beginning to participate, which is clearly visible in recent price action. We feel that mid cap and small caps are likely to outperform from here on. And on the downside, support is seen at 25,900, followed by 25,800 for Nifty. And the approach should remain buy on dips with a stronger focus on individual stock setups. Now, coming to Bank Nifty, it has an upside potential left till 60,000 and more. So it's a buy from here on for the timing. But for medium term, if you ask me, 60,000 to 61,000 can be a strong profit booking zone for Bank Nifty because there is a placement of long-term rising trend line over there. So it would be difficult to take that out in first attempt. So support now is at 59,000 followed by 58,700. So on and all, a little bit of more upside left in both the indices, but we feel that stock-specific action is likely to stay.
So what would that stock-specific action look like, Mehul, your individual picks?
A couple of picks are there. We like Fortis Healthcare for a pullback. The stock is currently trading near 870 zone and has taken support at its 200 DEMA. It can be bought at current levels with a stop loss of 845 and for an upside target of 920. Another stock which we are liking is Eternal, that is Zomato, also looks strong for a bounce. The stock has reversed from its 200 DEMA and now it's quoting somewhere near to 295. Even this can be bought with a stop loss of 280 for a potential upside towards 320.
Okay. All right, Mehul, we're going to leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and taking us through the technical calls. We need to take a short break, but up on the other side, Nisha Gupta will join in to take us through what she's tracking in the commodity space. Stay tuned.
"26 years of CNBC."
Welcome back. Peter McGuire, CEO of Trading.com, now joins us on the show to talk about all-time highs that we're looking at in many of those metals. Peter, hi, thank you for joining in. Silver first, and we're done $64 an ounce now. I remember you telling me that 60 to 65 is where we'll end this year. We're on the higher side of your range. How are you looking at the next couple of weeks for December?
Well, good afternoon, Manisha. I think it's really surprised everyone, and it's been bid up strongly. And some of those moves you're seeing are 2% and 3% intraday moves. I've got to go out there on a limb. I think it's going to be a 68 to 69.50 sort of handle by end of year, where the 12th of December, we've got 19 days to run. The markets never sleep. And I think it's got the capacity to edge up higher. So that's what I'm thinking. It's risk on. Fed decision, and US dollar's going to come under pressure. So that's what I'm tipping.
And Peter, where do you see this buying coming in? Who are buying at these very, very high levels? Is it short covering? Is it short silver squeeze that everybody seems to be talking about? What really is fueling this rally?
I think it's a number of things, Manisha. It's short squeeze. There's also a lot of investment across retail sector. You can't walk away from that. I mean, the appetite, regardless of, I talk to people pretty much across the world, and they tell me, they're buying, you're going to retail silver dealers, buying silver. You've got big paper market as well, and the overall appetite is just very, very strong. So I think it's a number of key components. We can't get away from the idea either that it was underinvestment from many decades, and that's really coming home to roost. So, I just think it's just a combination of multiple factors and also US dollar coming under pressure with rate cuts.
It is. The other thing that has also made all-time highs overnight market has been copper prices, $11,800 a ton now. We've spoken on this earlier as well, Peter, and you've told me 12,000, 13,000 is a possibility as well. With the way the sudden surge that we're looking at, all happening in the month of December, would you say that there could be some money coming back in case of copper as well, taking it higher from here?
I think so, Manisha. I think that Santa Claus rally is really starting to, wind up. Copper probably will be maybe a 12.2, 12.3 by end of year. And I think over that first quarter, you'll probably take 12.5 out. Let's just see where we are by Easter, but it's certainly on a tear. You can't not consider either aluminium It's sitting at 2,900, an all-time high is 3,800. I think it's got the capacity to take a 3,100 out. Zinc's strong as well, and tin. So those industrial metals are bid up, and it's a very exciting time for that whole complex.
From here on, as you mentioned about the dollar index as well, and we're trading at an 88 weeks lows on that. It's down by 8.5% for this current year. How are you looking at the dollar index from here on? Is it done most of its bearishness, or the way we've seen statements come in from the US Fed and the whole QE conversation coming back? Do you see dollar getting impacted further?
I think it's got a potential to be a 97.20, 97.40 sort of number. It's running at the moment about 98.35 for that US dollar index. So I think there's more softness there, Manisha, but again by Christmas. And let's just see, there is I understand from a QE perspective, and I also understand, Fed chair, we've got a change of guard. How's it all going to look? I mean, this is incredibly exciting. This is the way that this unpacks, Manisha, over the next 5 and 6 months is going to be electric, because you've got Fed Chair Powell, his tenure finishes in May or earlier. You've got Kevin Hassett. He wants to drive rates lower. We all understand what the president wants, and I think it's going to be a very dynamic, first 2 quarters. It's going to be incredible.
My final question to you, Peter, is on gold prices. And after a 2-month consolidation, we've seen this one break out of that band as well. So not too far away from its all-time highs. We're almost nudging $4,300 an ounce as we speak. What is your sense on this?
I think it'll take an all-time high out by Christmas, Manisha. So by end of year, New Year's Eve, I think we'll be at all-time highs for gold. And the overall momentum, again, is very, very strong. So it's, bid up, and I think 26 is going to be an incredible year for precious metals.
Okay, all right. Manisha, thank you so much for taking us through that conversation. Peter, thank you so much for joining in. Loving that Christmas tree behind you. So giving us the holiday feels already. Yes, that looks pretty good, and making us look forward to the vacation and the holidays as well. So wishing you a Merry Christmas in advance. Thank you so much for tuning in. And with that, we'll slip into a short break. We'll get you more on the markets and stock-specific action on the other side.
"26 years of CNBC-TV18.
Welcome back. We're looking good for the markets, but there's a lot of action in the primary market as well. ICICI Pru AMC IPO opens today. The company aims to raise over 10,000 crore rupees with its issue, and it is the second largest AMC by size and largest by actively managed AUM, with a market share of 13.3%. Its high equity skew makes it more profitable than peers, but a key risk is the SEBI consultation paper on cap and expense ratios. We spoke to the management on the key risks and a lot more. Let's listen into what they had to say.
I think this industry has been regulated brilliantly by SEBI all these years. And the best thing part of this is that our expenses have always been controlled, right? So if my BIPs are going down, over the years, my BIPs have gone down. If what I charge to the fund, but what is going down, what I am charging to the fund goes down. As I charge lesser and lesser, as my AUM grows, I charge lesser. That is anyway there. And as I charge lesser, my product becomes better and better for the final investor. Because SEBI has said it's a consultation, come and talk to us. As MFI, we are talking to SEBI. The idea is to rationalize some of the charges, right? I don't think, even if there is an impact, I don't think it is that major in my mind. Unless we generate alpha, unless we generate more than the benchmark, we can't sell, right? It won't sell, because then people should buy passive, no? If I am being paid fees to beat the benchmark. So unless I beat the benchmark, I cannot get money. Then otherwise ETFs will grow. 90% of our AUM over a 3-year basis has beaten the index right now. So one is, and second is, if you invest in ETFs, there is a taxation advantage versus mutual funds. That is not there in India. So these are the two reasons. If I don't beat benchmark, why should I get money in active funds?
Okay, on that note, we're going to slip into a short break. As of now, Nifty still managing to hold on to the 26,000 levels, but we'll come back after the break and take you through more stock-specific action. Stay tuned in.
26 years of CNBC-TV18.
Welcome back. You're still tuned into Halftime Report on CNBC TV18. Well, it's turning out to be a session where we are quite steady from the get-go, and we've maintained that. So we have the Nifty, which is up around 0.5% at this point in time. The advanced decline ratio is holding on the positive side. And we have the mid-cap index, which is marginally outperforming at this time. But the superstar for today's trading session has to be the metals index, which is up around 2.5% or thereabout at this point. It's up around 1.6% this week. And if you look at it, it's rallied a good 20% this year as well. In terms of key stocks, Hindustan Zinc obviously is up around 4 to 5% because mirroring silver prices, which are at record highs. But besides that, we have stocks such as Tata Steel, Hindalco, JSW Steel, all of these stocks which are gaining anywhere between 1 to 2% at this point. So that's basically what's taking place with the entire metals picture. But besides metals and moving away from that, just watch out for a couple of the stocks on the downside. So Bajaj Auto is down around 0.8%. We have a couple of the consumption names actually which are taking a hit today. So HUL is down around 1.8% along with ITC and Asian Paints as well. But on that note, we need to wrap up on the show with the news that the Nifty is holding at 26,000. Business Lunch will take all the action forward. Stay tuned.
.26 years of CNBC